Adolf Hitler's vehement anti-Semitism was a central tenet of his ideology and a driving force behind the catastrophic events of World War II and the Holocaust. This deep-seated hatred has long puzzled historians and scholars, leading to extensive research and analysis. Understanding why Hitler hated Jews involves delving into a complex interplay of historical, psychological, and societal factors. Adolf Hitler's virulent anti-Semitism, which became a devastatingly significant aspect of his ideology and the Nazi regime's policies, was deeply rooted in the broader historical and cultural milieu of Europe. This context provided a fertile ground for the growth and intensification of anti-Semitic sentiments. The origins of European anti-Semitism can be traced back to religious conflicts during medieval times. Jews were often vilified in Christian theology and faced numerous persecutions and expulsions. This religious prejudice laid the groundwork for centuries of mistrust and hostility towards Jews. With the advent of the 19th century and the subsequent emancipation of Jews, they began to achieve considerable success in various fields, including finance, arts, and academia. However, their success led to envy and resentment, giving rise to accusations of undue influence and control, particularly in the financial sector. These sentiments were further inflamed by widespread conspiracy theories, most notably the fraudulent document, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which purported to expose a Jewish plan for global domination. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw a shift from religious to racial anti-Semitism, fueled by pseudoscientific race theories that categorized Jews as an inferior race. This period was also marked by a surge in nationalism and xenophobia, with Jews often portrayed as alien elements within national cultures. The aftermath of World War I and the tumultuous interwar period further exacerbated anti-Semitism. Germany's defeat and the subsequent economic hardships were disproportionately blamed on Jews, making them convenient scapegoats for the nation's troubles. Additionally, there was a cultural backlash against modernist movements, many of which had significant Jewish contributions, as part of a broader reactionary movement against perceived moral and cultural decline. In this complex web of historical, religious, economic, and cultural factors, Hitler found fertile ground for his extreme anti-Semitic views. His hatred was not just a personal animosity, but a reflection of centuries-old prejudices that had been deeply ingrained in European society. Understanding this context is crucial in comprehending the rise of Hitler's ideology and the catastrophic consequences it entailed. The anti-Semitism of Adolf Hitler, which led to some of the darkest chapters in human history, was deeply influenced by his personal psychology and life experiences. Understanding these aspects is crucial in comprehending the motivations behind his relentless hatred toward Jews. Hitler's childhood and family dynamics were complex and troubled. Born in Austria in 1889, he had a strained relationship with his authoritarian father and a close bond with his doting mother. The family atmosphere, marked by authoritarianism and conflict, may have played a role in shaping his personality and worldview. During his adolescence and early adulthood in Vienna, Hitler encountered widespread anti-Semitism. The city's political and cultural milieu, infused with anti-Semitic rhetoric, undoubtedly influenced his developing beliefs. His failed attempts to gain admission to the Vienna Academy of Art and subsequent years of poverty and struggle contributed to his search for a scapegoat to explain his personal failures, which he found in the Jewish community. Influential anti-Semitic figures in Vienna, such as Mayor Karl Lueger, who used anti-Semitism as a political tool, further shaped Hitler's views. These experiences in Vienna laid the groundwork for his later ideological development. Hitler's service in World War I was another significant influence. The war reinforced his fervent German nationalism, and the defeat of Germany, along with the Treaty of Versailles, deepened his sense of betrayal and resentment. The turbulent post-war period in Germany, marked by political instability and economic hardship, further radicalized his views. He perceived the Weimar Republic as being controlled by Jews and socialists, exacerbating his anti-Semitic beliefs. Psychologically, Hitler's anti-Semitism may have stemmed from a need to find a scapegoat for both his personal failures and the perceived ills of Germany. His belief that Jews were to blame for the nation's problems provided a convenient outlet for his frustrations. He might have also suffered from paranoia and megalomania, intensifying his obsessive hatred of Jews. This hatred was likely a projection of his insecurities, allowing him to deflect attention from his inadequacies. In conclusion, Hitler's intense anti-Semitism was a product of his personal psychology and experiences, shaped by a troubled childhood, formative years in Vienna, experiences during World War I, and the influence of contemporary anti-Semitic ideologies. These factors, combined with his psychological makeup, culminated in a deep-seated hatred that had catastrophic consequences for millions of people. Adolf Hitler's rise to power and the subsequent implementation of his genocidal policies against the Jews were significantly aided by his skillful use of propaganda and strategic political maneuvers. His approach to propaganda and political strategy was multifaceted, targeting both the deep-seated prejudices of the time and the societal anxieties of post-World War I Germany. Mobilizing anti-Semitism for political gain. Hitler astutely recognized the potential of anti-Semitism as a unifying political tool. In a time of economic hardship and national humiliation following World War I, he used anti-Semitism to galvanize public support. By scapegoating the Jews for Germany's economic woes and the loss in the war, he provided the German public with a clear but false cause for their suffering, thereby redirecting their anger and frustration away from the government. Creating a common enemy. One of Hitler's key strategies was the creation of a common enemy to unite different segments of German society. He portrayed the Jews not only as a threat to Germany's economic stability, but also as an existential threat to German culture and racial purity. This tactic was effective in fostering a sense of unity and purpose among the German populace, rallying them under his leadership. Use of propaganda. The Nazi regime's use of propaganda was unprecedented in its scale and effectiveness. Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, played a crucial role in disseminating anti-Semitic rhetoric through various media, including newspapers, films, and radio broadcasts. This propaganda was designed to dehumanize Jews and perpetuate stereotypes, thereby justifying the regime's policies against them. Cult of personality. Hitler built a cult of personality around himself, presenting himself as the only leader capable of restoring Germany's greatness. This personality cult was meticulously crafted through propaganda, public appearances, and rallies, where Hitler's charisma and oratory skills were displayed. The image of Hitler as a strong, decisive leader was contrasted with the portrayal of Jews as weak, deceitful, and manipulative. Manipulating historical narratives. The Nazis were adept at manipulating historical narratives to support their anti-Semitic ideology. They rewrote history to portray Jews as perennial antagonists of the German people and as key players in historical events that harmed Germany. This manipulation of history served to reinforce the public's negative perceptions of Jews and justify their persecution. Legal and institutional mechanisms. Beyond propaganda, Hitler's strategy involved the use of legal and institutional mechanisms to disenfranchise and persecute Jews. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935 are a prime example, stripping Jews of their citizenship and legal rights. These laws, presented as necessary for the protection of German blood and honor, were crucial in legally sanctioning the discrimination and eventual genocide of Jews. In summary, Hitler's use of propaganda and political strategy was central to the consolidation of his power and the implementation of his anti-Semitic policies. Through a combination of scapegoating, creating a common enemy, skillful use of propaganda, building a cult of personality, manipulating historical narratives, and implementing legal measures, he was able to mobilize widespread public support for his regime and its catastrophic policies against the Jews. The consequences of Hitler's anti-Semitism were catastrophic. It culminated in the Holocaust, the systematic murder of 6 million Jews, and countless others deemed undesirable. This darkest chapter of human history serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred and bigotry. In conclusion, Hitler's anti-Semitism was a complex blend of historical prejudices, personal psychological factors, and calculated political strategy. It was not an anomaly, but a culmination of various influences and circumstances. Understanding these factors is crucial in ensuring that such hatred and its devastating consequences are never repeated.